This is the Washington Times front page for Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. Senate Democratic leadership is stressing that their social spending and climate change package is by no means dead despite intra-party opposition in a Congress with no margin for error. Harris Alec reports Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is publicly pleading to continue work on the bill, the $1.75 trillion Build Back Better Act. The White House and Democratic leaders remain adamant that West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin's concerns on the bill can be alleviated and it can advance. The Democrat announced before Christmas that he wouldn't support the package as it's currently constructed. Some Democrats, including Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey, say breaking up the bill and attempting to move it forward piecemeal is the only way forward. Manchin acknowledges that strategy is viable. Some lawmakers also wonder whether the best solution is to pause consideration of Build Back Better and focus on other priorities. Some Republicans claim House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is concealing information about her involvement in the security breakdown during the January 6th riot by Trump supporters at the U.S. Capitol. Kerry Pickett reports House Administration Committee ranking member Rodney Davis claims the Speaker is withholding communications from the House Sergeant-at-Arms from that day. Davis believes those records will show communications and coordination between the Speaker's office and law enforcement leading up to the attack. House Administration Committee Chair Zoe Lofgren called Davis's letter pure revisionist fiction and another attempt by Republicans to distract and deflect from the January 6th attack. Firearm purchases by a record number of Black Americans have accelerated a surge in gun sales since the COVID-19 pandemic began, according to a firearms analysis group. Jeff Murdoch reports 2021 was on track to be the second biggest on record for firearm sales. Small Arms Analytics and Forecasting said 18 million guns were purchased through November. That would outpace every year except for 2020. Black Americans are a big reason behind the surge, according to data from the National Shooting Sports Foundation. Black gun ownership increased 58.2% through the first 6 months of 2020. The foundation expects that number to be similar for 2021, given the trends in purchases. A reminder that you can find all these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. If you don't have access to the Times yet, you can visit WashingtonTimes.com/George for a special subscription offer. China is expanding a network of more than 95 port facilities around the world and is working to establish a system of overseas military bases. Bill Gertz reports the port network is part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, a multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure and development program. Chinese President Xi Jinping has been pushing the effort for nearly a decade to cement his country's status as an economic superpower. The latest addition to the network will likely be in Cuba. China announced an agreement on December 24th with Cuba to cooperate on Cuban infrastructure development. No details were disclosed, but the agreement was hailed as part of the Belt and Road Initiative. And finally, speaking of China, analysts say America's pro-democracy alignment with Japan, Australia, and India has room to grow as other nations seek ways to push back on an aggressive China. Ben Wolfgang reports those comments came from a monthly forum of former top U.S. officials and regional experts hosted by this newspaper's foundation. Although the alignment, known as the Quad, has fashioned itself as a regional counterweight to China's communist regime, the sheer economic force of China has complicated the calculus for South Korea and other U.S. allies to join the group. Some critics say the potential economic costs of South Korea openly joining the Quad and angering China outweigh any benefits that South Koreans would reap. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms just by searching Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.